What's up, everybody? Renfail here. Hopefully you're having a great day today. We are back again with some more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and today it's all about the ultimate beginner's guide for new players. We're deep into our second playthrough right now. If you missed the streams from the first playthrough, don't worry, we're plugging away at the second playthrough while we wait for the DLC over the course of 2025. We will, of course, be playing the DLC, and hopefully we'll see you there. In the meantime, though, I wanted to go through the things that I learned from my first playthrough and how they've impacted my second playthrough, and hopefully guide some of you who are coming into the game for the first time so that you can take the most of the things that I've learned and maybe have a better first playthrough than I had. Not that I had a bad first playthrough, but there were definitely things that I wished I would have known when I went through the first time. So without further ado, we're going to get into the guide. If you haven't already done so, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams happen at around 5 a.m. Central every single morning. We do a couple of streams. This is the day job, but every single day we're live for about 6 hours in the morning, 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. There's a ton of videos. Check them all out. And don't forget, Twitch, YouTube, you pick. All the socials, Discord, etc. Chapter links for this video are down below, so if you have seen one of the sections of this video somewhere else, or you've worked your way through a couple of portions of this video, you want to skip ahead to the next portion when you get more spare time, don't forget to use those chapter links down below. Without further ado, let's get into the guide. Now, probably one of the most important things out of the gate for a lot of people when you're going through the tutorial at the beginning of the game, you're going to be given some options as to how do you want to start the game. So you're going to be given some role play decisions which are going to impact the stats that you start the game with. So the options will allow you to boost your strength, boost your agility, boost your vitality, or boost your speech right out of the gate. For my money, I think that speech is the most important to have out of the gate. So when you're going through and choosing those options during your first playthrough, always go for those speech options during the tutorial. And the reason for that is because speech is one of the hardest abilities to level up in the game. Everything else can be leveled up just through active use. And you can level up speech through active use as well. But the reason I say speech is more important is because there are a lot of quests in the game that require a high speech in order to get past certain things without doing combat, or there might be certain quests that you can't even get if you don't have the proper speech levels, or there may be quests where if you want the most favorable outcome, you want the highest speech, or if you don't want to get thrown in jail because you got caught stealing, you're going to want a high speech. That is far more valuable in my mind than having a high strength or a high agility out of the gate. Now, once you've gotten 15-20 hours into the game and you feel you're comfortable with your speech levels, that's when you can sort of focus on things like, oh, I'm going to go do a lot of sword training, or I'm going to go do a lot of bow training and work on my strength, agility, vitality, so on and so forth. But speech for me is one of the most important things for new players because it does give you the most amount of quests, which in turn give you more experience points, which in turn give you more main levels, earns you more perk points, and ultimately earns you more money, which allows you to get better gear and do more things in the game. When you first start your playthrough, Henry is going to basically get an injury, is the way the game explains it. And as a result, he has his stats marked down from where they were at from the first game. And you will start off with everything at a middle of the road skill, essentially. And from there, you'll be building yourself up as you work your way through the game. Now, it's up to you to decide where you want to put your perk points. You're going to have a variety of perk points available to you right out of the gate when you get going. But essentially, you're going to be worried about your main level, your strength, agility, vitality, speech. And then from there, you're going to go over to your skills: alchemy, craftsmanship, drinking, horsemanship, houndmaster, scholar, stealth, survival, thievery, and of course, your combat skills. Now, the way that you level these up is going to depend entirely upon what you prefer to do in the game, but everything in terms of leveling up and earning perk points is based on active use of abilities. So if you want to get good at unarmed, you have to be doing unarmed combat. Do you want to get good at marksmanship? You have to be doing marksmanship. You want to get good with swords, you need to be using swords, and so on and so forth. Some things are a little easier to level up than others. As an example, Houndsmaster is pretty easy to level up because once you get Mutt as your companion. That one kind of levels up passively. It was the one that I leveled up the quickest in my first playthrough because it was just always sort of going. Horsemanship also because you're constantly riding around in your horse. And then I also found over here in I forget. Oh, survival. Survival also levels up pretty quickly as well because as you're going around skinning things and hunting and processing it, so you're going to be leveling that up as well. But just remember that it's based on active use. So whatever you decide that you're going to focus on first is what you level up first, and that can change depending on what your playstyle is. So, for example, my first character throughout the game was a knight errant, essentially. I was sort of like the Robin Hood character, and so I focused mostly on the sword and speech skills. And outside of that, I kind of just did everything else as it came along. Whereas this second playthrough, I focused on speech primarily, and I've been thieving in the background. So for me, the speech is already at a 9, along with agility, and then we've been going through and working on the stealth, which you can see is my highest right now at level 12. And I actually have some points I need to put into that. Apparently at some point. So when you go down through here, don't forget to just take a look because some of these are, some of these fit playstyles differently than others, especially when you look at like the combat skills, because there's things that are related to single swords as opposed to like one-handed swords as opposed to long swords. So some of your combat perks are going to really be based on what you want to get out of your playthrough. So make sure you read through these and take your time to go through the perks and really read through what they are. Some of the things might not be that useful to you. Fleeting Shadow is something I'm never going to be worried about that too much. I would be better served by putting things into, for example, surprise attack, because that gives them a combat skill debuff, making them easier to deal with, and they might even panic and flee. That sounds way more useful to me than some of the other things. So just pay attention to that. And then when you go in here and get into Houndsmaster, I would highly recommend that the first thing you take is the hunt, because that'll allow you to send Mutt out to get wild game. After that, it's kind of up to you what you want to pick. Loyal Companion is a good one because he is going to get hit a lot and will run away, so something to bear in mind. When you first finish up the tutorial, you're going to find yourself on foot with nothing. And one of the first things, I would argue that it is the first thing that you should do before anything else, is you need to get your horse back. You need to go find Pebbles. Now, it's actually fairly easy to do. You just essentially, as soon as you get out of the tutorial and as soon as you get to the chance where you have free reign to go where you want, you're going to open up the map and you're going to look for this place called Samine. Now, you're not going to find it because of the fog of war. You're going to start off in Troskowitz. You're going to want to go southwest out of Troskowitz and just follow the road until you get to the castle. Once you get to the castle, you're going to enter the castle right here. You're going to go straight through the castle, and there's a big open stable behind. And you're going to run through there, and you're going to see the very first horse you come across. There's like a dozen horses or so in the pen. You're going to see a gray horse right there. When you run up, you're going to say, Pebbles! And you're going to click Pebbles, and you're going to be like, yay, Pebbles, what's up? Then you're going to turn around, and there's going to be an NPC leaning up against the wall right here where the horse trader icon is. That NPC is going to have a conversation option to say, hey, this is my horse, and he's going to be reluctant to give you the horse, and you're going to go into that option, and you're going to follow it through, and you're going to use the negotiation tool, and you're going to win that conversation, and you're going to get Pebbles, and he's going to give you Pebbles along with some basic tack. Now, Pebbles is not the greatest horse out of the gate. There are other horses that are better than Pebbles. However, Pebbles can be upgraded if you ride Pebbles for many kilometers. Don't sleep on Pebbles. Ignore the people who yell at her and call her a nag. Pebbles is an awesome horse, and when you are a brokey at the beginning of the game and you don't have any other options, you're going to want Pebbles because she will save your ass and get you out of so many scrapes and help you get across the rest of the map and be able to quest at your leisure and not have to worry about running around on foot. She can also help you get away from things as well, so it's very important. Don't sleep on this. Get Pebbles. Pebbles is awesome. And Mutt. Don't forget about Mutt. As soon as you can, you should go get Mutt. Mutt is your faithful companion, and Mutt does a lot of different things for you. Not only is he a good boy, come here, Mutt. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, he's gonna pee all over something. Come here, buddy. There's your
Come
good
here,
boy.
boy.
There's your good boy. Not only is Mutt very useful for helping you to attack enemies, he can also do things like track.
Do I want to
And
send Mutt
so,
home?
no, I don't want to send Mutt home. We could tell him to
Here,
track
Mutt.
items. Now, I don't have any
Thanks.
items for him to use right at the moment, but there are multiple quests in the game where he tracks down items for you. You can also have him hunt game for you. He will find treasure for you. Mutt can do a lot of things for you. Plus, as I said, in combat, he can be a very valuable asset to help you deal with bandits, to help you deal with wolves when you're being attacked, so on and so forth. So, as soon as you get the quest to go find Mutt, I would highly recommend that you do that immediately. Because it's going to make your life so much easier in terms of playing the game to be able to have Mutt at your side. Training any of your combat abilities is going to be extremely important, regardless of whether or not you're playing a thief-based character or a knight-based character, or a Robin Hood character. Whatever you're going to be playing, whatever your chosen weapon style, you're going to want to practice, and that can be challenging to do if you don't want to die, because bandits are not the easiest of prey. So there's a few different things that you can focus on to get your combat training early on in the game, depending on what you want to focus on. So you can start off over here, and when you get into the early stages of the game, once you get past the tutorial, you're going to be led to talk to a guy over here at the Nomad camp, Tomcat. Now, he is going to teach you sword abilities. And these abilities here at the camp, there's an arena right here is what you're looking for, this guy right here at this arena. And at that arena is where you're going to be able to train all of your weapon skills. So swords being the most important because that's where you get Master Strike, but also all of the relevant weapons. There's a weapon arena there where you can train with him as you desire. Now, outside of the melee weapons, you're also going to want to consider unarmed combat. And that's going to be learned down here at the Lower Samine Mill, which is going to be one of the places that you get an option to travel to right out of the tutorial as well. This is the icon you're looking for the fist fighting arena. There is a little bit of conversation you'll need to do when you get down here. It's very evident as you're going through the quest lines down here. You will be naturally led to learning how to do fist fighting, and you'll get access to the fist fight arena, which gives you access to other arenas, which allows you to then train your fist fighting. That's unarmed combat is actually quite important, even if you don't plan on doing it as like a primary, because there are certain quests and circumstances where you're going to need to be focused on that unarmed combat. So you're definitely going to want to take the time to level it up. And outside of that is going to be your marksmanship. If you decide you're ever going to use the bow for anything, I've got a separate Ultimate Beginner's Guide to the bow, but what you're looking for is this place right over here, the Gamekeeper Vostatek building, just east of Vidlak Pond, and it's west of Takov. And there's an archery grounds here, an archery range where you can come participate in 3 different levels of archery competitions. You can also just shoot the targets without doing any of the competitions and earn points that way, but you earn more points by participating in said archery competition. So I would highly suggest that you go over there if you want to level up in your marksmanship, to go practice at the range. There's a beginner, an intermediate, and a mastery version. Like I said, there's a ultimate beginner's guide to archery already on the channel, so you could check that out at your leisure. I love marksmanship because it's a great way to supplement your combat, especially when you're doing like a stealth build, because once you've got sneak attacks and doing extra damage, you can hit them with ranged attacks, weaken them quite a bit, do extra critical damage, and sometimes even take them down. Especially if you're using poisons, you could take down several targets before they even get a chance to get to you. So marksmanship can be quite powerful if you use it in conjunction with your melee weapons, and stealth if you choose to go stealthy as well. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. One of the things that is unique to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and a vast improvement over the first game is that you have 3 different sets of gear, or the ability to set up 3 different sets of gear. The way I choose to do this is I have a primary set of gear that is my combat set, and that is where I have my whatever sort of combat gear that I'm choosing to wear. This is an early build character, so I'm actually just wearing one of the Twitch drop sets, which is not the greatest, but it's a great early build for this character since this is the second playthrough. And then outside of that, I have my conversation set of gear, which in this case, it's not quite much better in terms of charisma, than the second set, or than the first set, I should say, because they both have the same charisma. But it's because I haven't ran to a tailor yet. Ultimately, I will run to a tailor, and I will get this guy maxed out with charisma, because charisma you could take up to level 30. And then what you end up having is a combat set, a conversation set, and then you're either going to have like an unarmed combat, or in my case, a thief set. So I have the Twitch drop set here as well, the cut purse set, and that means that you can quickly and easily swap between these whenever you're deciding to do a certain activity. It is worth noting, however, that you cannot switch your gear during the middle of combat, so you have to take care of this before you go into combat. Once you're in a combat scenario, you can't change your gear, and there are some cases where I have forgotten to like switch over from my conversation set before I've headed out down the road, and then I get attacked, or I run into an ambush, or I choose to do in a combat scenario on the road, and suddenly I realize I'm wearing my conversation set, which has like no armor class. So make sure to pay attention to that when you're out wandering down the road. When you're going through and looking at some of your perks, one of the things I would recommend is to consider what it is that you really enjoy doing the most at in the game, and pay attention to the ones, these passive perks that do things like you will improve faster in sword fighting, crafting, and survival skills, as well as gain experience that's 10% higher in these things. You're going to want to look at things like this because as you go through the game, you're going to find additional perks that you could take where it's, things like when you use a bow, you're earning strength, vitality, and agility at the same time. Or when you use a sword, you're gaining this, this, and this at the same time. Or when you do this, you're gaining this, this, and this at the same time. And the reason I suggest that you should pay attention to these things is because it's a great way to sort of level up more than one thing at a time. So when you're going in here and looking, I think it's in, I'm going to go double check really quick because I haven't looked at this in a while. I think it's Alchemy, actually. Let's double check in here. I'm going to make sure. It's in here somewhere. Yes, so something like this. When you're brewing potions between midnight and dawn, you'll work better. In addition, you have a +2 bonus on coercion, domination, and intimidation stats when talking to commoners. That's a beautiful thing to have as part of, going through here and leveling. So always pay attention to the perks that offer you more than one thing, because they can really help with the overall leveling process and help you get the most out of the game. Now, not all of them do that. Some things only offer you one thing. So you just really got to go through here and pick the ones that you want, because there's a lot of different things to look at. So as an example, when in the forest, your scent will be halved, your stamina will recover 50% strength, but your strength, vitality, and agility will be increased by 1, and your stealth skill will be increased by 2. And a lot of these things have multiple tiers. So like there's Leshy 2, and there's Heart Seeker and Heart Seeker 2. So always make sure to go through and look at all of the perks in a tree to figure out which ones you think are going to be the best for your playstyle. And look at the ones that offer more than one thing, because those can branch out and really help you round out your character above and beyond just single statistic bonuses. Now, there are 2 forms of crafting in this game, the blacksmithing and alchemy. Blacksmithing is really only useful for making your melee weapons, It is an interesting mini game. It wasn't where I chose to spend the bulk of my time, but when you're making swords, you can eventually get some things in here where you can, as an example, Martin's Secret, you can forge levels at the 4th, i.e. highest quality. There's no other way in the game to obtain these weapons other than forging them for yourself. So if you really are going all in on the melee weapon side of things, I would highly recommend that you do blacksmithing. However, if you're not going to be doing blacksmithing, I don't think it's, or if, excuse me, if you're not going to be doing melee, like if you're going to be a marksman as an example, you really don't need to spend that much time doing blacksmithing, because it's not going to be that useful if you're going to be going marksmanship. However, alchemy can help anyone. Alchemy does so many different things, and alchemy is a carryover from the first game. So in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, alchemy was in the game. It's better here. It does, you can make healing potions, you can make poisons, you can make different digestives, you can make different stat potions. There are all sorts of different potions that you can make. Right now I don't actually have a lot of recipes at my disposal. I only have the chamomile decoction and the savior schnapps. I don't have any poisons yet. But the reason I mention this is because in terms of making your character the best possible, not only are you going to get your stat bonuses, but also be able to do regen, your essentially health pots, but the poisons are a huge deal. Especially, like, it just depends on what you're going. If you're going to be going melee, things like Bane are quite useful because they lower the hit points of the mob. Other things like Lullaby, which eliminates their energy. My favorite is to take the Dollmaker potion and apply it to your bow and your arrows, because then what happens is the Dollmaker potion, essentially, it does damage to the NPC as well as makes them unable to run. So you can hit a target, it does damage to them, they can't run, you can run away, get another target, run away some more, get another target. I've been able to take down entire packs of 6 to 8 bandits with the Dollmaker potion and a bow by just shooting every single one of them one time, and then as soon as I've got them all slowed, I switch over to my sword, and then I just hit them with a Master Strike, and 1 or 2 Master Strikes, and they're completely done. It does take time to level up Alchemy. You will be spending a lot of time at the alchemical table, but it's totally worth it to level it up because you get a whole bunch of cool potions from Alchemy, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that you take the time to do this. Plus, if you're ever short on coin, Alchemy is one of the easiest ways to level up because you can sell your potions to people for quite a bit of coin, and you can also get a bunch of stats and perks that allow you to sell potions for more than they would normally be worth, such as Potion Seller. You can sell the potions you brew for 30% more. And there's other perks that you can get that will allow you to continue and enhance those bonuses and always be able to make money from that. Now, along with your alchemical table here, your alchemy table, this is very useful. You're also going to be keeping an eye out for drying racks and smoking racks. These are important for a variety of reasons. One, when you dry items out, when you dry food, or if you dry herbs, they last forever, so they no longer rot or wear out. So all the herbs and food items that you get in the game will eventually wear down and become no longer usable. Food in particular will go bad. It can give you food poisoning. So the first thing you want to do, if you can, is to find a drying rack. This is the best way to preserve items. If you cannot find a drying rack, you can find a smoking rack, which allows you to smoke the meats. Smoking meats works. It's very helpful, but I think that for me personally, the drying rack is one of the best ways to do this. Now, you're going to get access to one of these very, very early in the game here. I clicked the wrong button. We actually want to bring up the map. You're going to be in this town right here. I got to pan out Troskowitz. And right here is what you're looking for. Is this area right here. I keep pushing the wrong button because my muscle memory is crazy for playing all these different games I play. You're looking for this alchemy bench, and right next to it is the drying rack. Now, hand in hand with this is the fact that right outside of here is a beautiful garden where you can run around and loot all sorts of stuff. Marigold, dandelion, there's nettles, there's all sorts of stuff in the apothecary's herb garden that you just run around and grab. So don't forget to come over here, grab all this stuff, harvest it, take it back, dry it. I know there's nettles around here somewhere. Maybe I picked them earlier. In any case, that's where the drying rack and apothecary table is at the starting village, but you're going to find these scattered throughout the land. Some of them will be behind locked doors, but just keep an eye out for these. So if you're on the prowl, you can come dry your food wherever you want. Now, everywhere that you see the tavern sign, I highly recommend that you make a pit stop and do a couple of different things. One, always talk to the alehouse maid or the innkeeper, whoever you can find, and get a room. Because getting a room does two things. One, it allows you to have a save, and you can then use this place. And there's two different versions. You can rent for the night, or you can rent for a permanent period of time. Always rent for a permanent period of time. Now, there's two different types. One is going to be a little like bale of hay, or a little scrap of something here. But the important thing here is when you scroll over, it says sleep and save, which means you can save the game. This is hugely important to being able to have a lot of saves at your disposal, because there's save your schnapps, there's manual saves at the bed, there's also the exit save you can use. But by having lots of different beds set up throughout the realm, you can constantly find places to sleep and save your game. Some of them are going to be little beds like this. Some of them are going to be actual rooms in taverns that have a chest. This one doesn't actually have a chest. But the other thing that is very important with this is that not only do you get access to a bed, you also typically get access to the pot of food at the place where you are staying. Now, it might not have anything in it. In this case, it doesn't. But these pots of food give anything from 15% to 25% towards your nourishment level, which means if you're ever hungry, I'm at 65% right now, I'm doing okay, you can then use these pots of food without having to worry about stealing from them. Any other pot of food will be counted as stealing, so if you get caught, you'll get into trouble. But if you have rented a room, a permanent room or a room for the night, you will be able to eat food at that location for free. Now, I just basically set up rooms all around. Anytime I see a tavern, I will always rent a permanent room for them. These rooms cost, I believe it's 50. The beds in the stables are like 50 groschen, I think. And I want to say the ones with actual rooms and chests are like 120 groschen. But you can negotiate down from that, find something more suited to your budget as long as you have your speech skill, which goes back to what I talked about at the beginning of the game, is making sure you have your speech skill as high as possible. Now, there's obviously a ton of other things we could go over. There's a lot of different ways to play this game, and I think that's one of the things I would urge you to do, is really take the time to look through the perks. I know I mentioned that earlier in the guide, but I think it's one of the most useful things in the entire game is the fact that there's some perks that do some really unique things for you. As an example, there is a perk that allows you to, when you wash yourself in one of the water troughs, in one of the barrels of water that you could find that Mutt drinks out of, if I remember correctly, there's two levels to it, but one level allows you to just wash the dirt off yourself. But the other level of it allows you to not only wash the dirt off yourself and make yourself as clean as you can be without actually going to the bathhouse, but it also restores a portion of your health, which is really, really useful to, not need to use as many healing potions, or to not need to use a bed as often to rest up and earn your healing potions, or earn your hit points back. So there are lots of little perks like that, but they're buried way deep in the perk trees. So this really is a game where the longer you play, it's kind of more so than many other games that I've played ever before, is that Henry gets better. It's not like other games where you just get more levels and you get more powerful. It's that Henry accumulates more general skills across the board. And there are so many perks that you can really customize exactly how it is you want to play, which is why there's a lot of variety here, especially if you're going to come back and do a second or a third playthrough, which is why my first character was very much sort of a Robin Hood character who did things a certain way. This character is a thief character. He's doing things a certain way. And because there's a lot of variety in the conversations in this game as well, understand that, you could go for a completionist version if you want. You would kind of be shooting yourself in the foot for doing that, though, because there's so much variety in this game that going through the second time, you're going to have completely different results at the end of conversations in many cases. Not every case. Some results are always going to be the same because they're locked in and not, they're very static. But there is a ton of variety to this game, and you can have completely different outcomes depending on whether you lie to someone, you tell the truth, you rob from them, you choose to help them, you choose to ignore them. There's also something in this game which is very unique, which is that, and this is probably a tip I maybe should have put at the beginning of the video, but this is like, it's very, very important. When an NPC tells you, hey, tomorrow morning, meet me here, or tomorrow at noon, meet me here, or tomorrow at noon, meet this person over here, you need to do that. You need to pay attention when the NPC tells you, because the quest, there's not going to be any sort of thing on the screen that tells you that there's a timer running. But if someone has told you to be in a specific place by a specific time, it's because that quest is timed. And if you don't go there and do the thing that you're supposed to do, they will go off and do the quest without you. And then you might find yourself having an unfavorable outcome because you weren't there to help them. Maybe they fail. Maybe they complete it, but now they're pissed at you and they don't want to work with you anymore. There's a lot of outcomes that can happen in this game, and you can't be everywhere at once, so you do have to pick your battles. And so if someone tells you that they want you to go somewhere and be somewhere at a specific time, you should probably pay attention to that as you go about your journeys. That being said, it's a big game. My first playthrough was 113 or 115 hours, I can't remember. I know most people who have played this game in a completionist format are doing between 130 and 150 hours on the minimum, with 150 to 200 hours for people who are really going all in. And the sort of speed runs or the normal playthroughs are 60 to 80 hours. So it's a big game. There's a lot to see and do. There's a lot of choices you could make and a lot of ways to play. So take your time, enjoy. Warhorse really did a phenomenal job with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and hopefully you are able to take some of these tips to get the most out of your first playthrough of this amazing medieval RPG. If you found all these things useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And of course, tune in to one of the next streams, which happen on YouTube and Twitch every single morning at around 5 a.m. Central is when we start. We do a couple streams per day. And this is the day job. There's over 7,500 videos on the channel as of this recording, so check out all the other videos and all the other games I've played, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, and happy gaming.